Preface by Aesop Glim. Some people do not care for Aesop Glim's diatribes. They say he is too simple, too obvious, or they say he is too didactic. The simple is usually obvious once it is understood, and most fundamentals are like that. Aesop Glim has sought to collect and set down such things as now seem to be fundamental in advertising. He has had two purposes in mind. First, to have these fundamentals either challenged or confirmed by exposing them to publication. Second, to make them available as a checklist for advanced practitioners and as a guidebook for beginners. Advertising is still a very young business. What we know today is probably 1/10 of what there is to know. Only the outstandingly successful campaigns of 1963 will rank in effectiveness with the average campaign of 1982. As we develop new techniques for fact-finding, as we come to know a great deal more about people through the help of the social sciences, our copy will become ever more accurate in its aim and correspondingly more effective. This means that every person in advertising has the opportunity to discover more of its secrets and thereby make advertising history. It also means that none of us can afford to forget or ignore or stop reviewing such fundamentals as are already established. We must use the 1/10 as our base from which to explore the unknown 9/10. Those who call Aesop Glim too didactic complain that he paints everything in solid black and white, apparently recognizing no middle tones, no exceptions to his pompous rulings. To this, his answer is always, of course there are exceptions, but learn the rule before you break it. Then break it with your eyes open and for good cause. Most of the material in this book has appeared in printer's ink on pages headed Aesop Glim's Clinic. Aesop Glim is grateful to the editors of Printer's Ink for their encouragement and for their patience, and also for their permission to put this material into book form. Some of this material has appeared in marketing on pages headed Aesop Glim's Notebook, which is occasionally read by certain extra-friendly advertising people across our invisible northern border. If you are already acquainted with Aesop Glim, he would like to point to the chapter called The Ignorance Distance. This includes some clarification, expansion, and evolution over the chapter called On the Copy Policy in a preceding book titled How Advertising is Written and Why, Dover, 1961. Also to the chapter headed What Price Novelty, which was written particularly for those very patient and courteous people who have heard him sound off on this pet subject and who have thereafter been so flattering as to ask for a copy in writing. The title of the present book may suggest that Aesop Glim believes advertising to be the cream of all businesses, and copy to be the cream of advertising. Which is true. If you are a copywriter and share this belief, welcome. Simultaneously, you and Aesop Glim must never forget that it takes a farmer and a farm, one or more cows and a great many suppliers to make possible the existence of cream. Introduction by C.B. Larrabee, President and Publisher of Printers, Inc. Aesop Glim likes to call himself an old fundamentalist. Because he has been so successful in writing good advertising copy, I would hesitate to question his use of words. But I can't help feel that although he is considerably older than he was when he brought his first article to Printers, Inc., he is still a young fundamentalist. It may be true that most of the fundamentals of advertising don't change. But although they may not themselves change, they are continually putting on new clothes. If they didn't, there wouldn't be any need for the fundamentalists, young or old. Even the novice could recognize their basic nature. But so long as they do change in their outward manifestations, at least it is a good thing to have a few fundamentalists around. Successful advertising depends pretty much on the fellows who can stare a fundamental in the face and say, "Come out from behind those whiskers. You can't fool me." It was in September 1929 that the first article by Aesop Glim appeared in the pages of Printers, Inc. Never since that time has Aesop allowed himself to deal with frills and superficialities, except to dismiss them occasionally with a pointed comment. And in keeping the eyes of his readers fixed on the fundamentals of advertising, he has saved a lot of them tempting but dangerous side excursions into mirages that seem to be dazzlingly green pastures. Of course, Aesop Glim writes well. That is probably the most fundamental of all the fundamentals of good advertising. He never has liked the $2 word, the two-page sentence, And unlike some fundamentalists, he has a craggy sense of humor, a happy asset for a writer on advertising subjects. And so it is a real pleasure to be present at the launching of another Aesop Glim book. And as we break a figurative bottle of champagne across her bow, we know that there was never more sparkle in a bottle of wine than there is in Aesop's prose. That's it for today. If you enjoyed the introduction to this new playlist on Aesop Glim, I suggest you to subscribe to the channel so that you will be notified when new videos are out. Also, you might want to check our link in the description, where you'll find many other fundamental advertising books in different languages. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next video.